Hey everybody, it's Tracy. We wanted to talk about the Bermuda Specialty Insurance License, Class 3 license. And at its core, it is a reinsurance vehicle, right? Insuring third-party obligations, so other insurers. And it's great because of its ease of licensing and your ability to access what's otherwise a huge market like the reinsurance market. But it also has a unique value proposition given current tax changes, which is it qualifies as an active offshore financial entity, meaning that in the US, shares of that entity or profits earned by that entity are not taxed, irrespective of not they are repatriated to the US. So what you see is a lot of hedge funds now create these specialty insurers that in turn act as almost like the feeder fund into the fund, whether it be in BVI or Caymans. That way, profits that inure to that vehicle, because it's actively engaged in insurance, do not inure to a U.S. taxpayer in terms of like phantom gains, right? If the money's not repatriated. And how they do this is kind of unique because you still have to be engaged in insurance to some extent. So you see a lot of these specialty insurers that were created for specifically for hedge funds will underwrite like one cat bond, right? Meaning like reinsure one catastrophic event with like an exceptionally low premium, right? So you say like, oh, if we're going to reinsure hurricane damage on the Gulf Coast of Florida and the policy payment is like $5,000, right? So it's very mythical, but that's what they do, and it qualifies, and you see significant and really complex hedge funds using that. But as an insurance vehicle, it's also very unique because you can get into it's an exceptionally lucrative market. You know, the downside, if you can look at that, it's a very easy licensing compared to other things in Bermuda, it requires a capital requirement of all times of $1 million, and depending on the level of insurance activity that you want to get into, it can be even higher based on what the BMA says, right? There are also qualifications regarding your competency to run a reinsurer, things like that, which you find anywhere with anything, any sort of license. In addition there too, there is the ability to operate without a significant Bermuda presence, meaning like an office and people, but it's not always there. Fees, very reasonable. Keeping the maintenance, the annual licensing, very reasonable. And of course, access to really what is like the reinsurance capital of the world. And you see this opportunity where you can create these specialty insurers, which almost act as a conduit for smaller funds that can't create that vehicle on their own or don't want to bear the expense or are too new in the process. And you sell different insurance-linked securities which inure to specific funds, right? So there is 3 opportunities. 1, just the insurance side. 2, to enhance the value, if you will, of your hedge fund, right, to the tax-advantaged U.S. persons. Then also to kind of act as this conduit for passive investment vehicles that you find offshore, because the insurance-linked securities that you can in turn issue are deemed to be active, right? So that's the Bermuda Specialty Insurer. You have questions, hit me up, Adam at Adam Tracy, Tracy.io. Talk to you next time. Cheers.